Hello everyone, and welcome to the complete set review of Battle for Zendikar. And let's start with the colorless section first. So we have Bane of Bala, 7 mana 7/5, but whenever he attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. So they didn't bring back Annihilate, but they printed a card with better Annihilate. So there is that. This card is insanely powerful and limited. The 7 mana cost actually makes perfect turn mana, so it could be a competitor for modern. That being said, it does take 1 turn to use its effect because he needs to attack, so it has a slight chance of seeing modern play. For limited it's obviously a bomb. As for standard, we'll have to wait and see how easily you can wrap into this, because there are some ramp spells in the set, but is it really worth it over playing a mid-range deck that's more consistent? We'll have to see. So that being said, very good card limited. Could see play in standard and modern, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to Blight Herder, a 5 mana 4/5 that when you cast him you get to process 2 cards, and if you do, you get 3 1/1s that you can sack for 1 mana. So this is a pretty powerful processor, one of the better ones probably. One, because it can go into any deck, and you get 7/8 worth of power toughness split between 4 bodies, which is better than 1 card. And worth noting, even if you get to counter, you still get the effect, so that's pretty strong. Definitely insane one for limited. Now for standard, if exile matters becomes a thing, he's a very good competitor, but really I don't see him anywhere else under standard. I guess with Delve the processors are really good, but we have to wait and see. Still very strong card for limited. So let's move to the next. We have Breaker of Armies, 8 mana 10/8 with lure. So he's pretty much a perfect way to break board stalls. So when you resolve this guy, your opponent either has to remove him immediately, or he will probably lose next turn, because when you have 8 mana and you focus all the blocks on a minion, the others should have a way to deal enough damage to kill your opponent. So it could end the game. It's insanely powerful. 10/8. It's very strong. It doesn't have trample, but if it have trample it will be insanely broken. So yeah, like most all colorless cards, is very good and limited. I don't see it anywhere else though, because the effect is irrelevant in other formats, other standard sometimes, but no. So let's move on to Conduit of Ruin, 6 mana 5/5. When you cast him, so again if he gets counter, you still get the effect. You may set your library for a colorless creature card whose main mana costs 7 or greater, reveal it, then put the card on top of it. So it's pretty much a worded tutor for colorless creatures with 7 cost or greater, which seems to be a thing in this set. And also the first creature spell you cast each turn, not each colorless creature, the first creature spell you cast turn costs less to cast. So again, this is an insane bomb because it is a size body, 6 mana 5/5, and you get an insane effect. I mean, you get fetch another bomb, and not only that, that bomb will cost 2 less next turn. Wow, pretty strong card. Now, possibilities in Tron, so you can get Womb Coils, other Eldrazi. With it, the really costless part doesn't matter that much because you're probably not going to stick around. He can get up to 1 spotted Tron, I think. Other than that, I don't see it. But if an Eldrazi deck is made in standard, you need to have at least 2 or 3 of those. So Great Card Limited, we have to wait and see for modern, but I don't think Tron needs this. Moving on to Deathless Behemoth, 6 mana, 6/6 vigilance, sacrifice 2 scions, you return him from the graveyard to your hand, and you can use it only anytime you could use a sorcery. So 6 mana, 6/6, already fine for limited, very strong actually. The fact you can getting him back to your hand, it's also nice, because say you have to use the Eldrazi, you sacrifice them, get them to your hand, and you can recast him again. It's very strong, like most of the colorless cards are. Only for limited play, obviously. That was what it was designed for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Decent pick. Pretty good. Also, it's not that much mana like the other ones, it's 6, so it's more manageable. Talking about huge mana investments, we have Desolation Twin. 10 mana, 10-10, when you cast him, get another 10-10. Wow. So it has potential to being 10 mana, 20-20, split between two bodies. This is a pretty strong effect for limited, but that's how it goes. You won't see this card anywhere else unless a commander decks like to abuse tokens. I think this is the second larger token other than Mary Leeds. So yeah, there is that, but really it's just a limited card. Also 10 mana could be quite tough limited, but if it gives you a 20-20 or 2 10-10s, you must be winning the game, or you're doing something wrong. So moving on, we're going to Eldrazi Devastator. 8 mana, 8-9 trample, and it's a common. What the heck is going on here? I mean, he's insanely good. 8 mana, 8-9 with trample. It's a bomb, because it's also a common, so we see it frequently. That being said, because it's 8 mana, you can't have more than 2, I guess, in your deck, unless the format setup will be really slow. So yeah, decent pick in limited. It's designed for limited, don't expect to see it anywhere else. Moving on to Endless One. X mana for a 0/0 that enters the battlefield with X counters on it. X +1/+1 counters on it. So this is like the perfect creature for limited. It's a curve filler, so it's bad only for 0 and 1. On 2 it's on curve, on 3 it's on curve, and continues that way. So does this have any potential for constructed formats? I guess it's a 0 mana 0/0, so it's a way to flip Liliana, but you have Hunger Walker, which is better. Cards like this usually find a way to get abused, so I won't be surprised, but definitely a limited powerhouse, because he can grow as much as you want it to grow, and works with hard scales, because everyone is going insane with 100 scales, and oh yeah, you get 1 mana worth of value. So moving on, we have Gruesome Slaughter. 6 mana, your creatures get Follow the Hammer ability. Only colorless creatures. I mean, it's better in sealed than draft, because you can build your deck around it. The ability is really strong if you have like 2 or 3 creatures. 3 to 4 is just insane, you just win the game to do this. That being said, constructed wise, I don't see it unless an Eldrazi deck shows up in standard and you need this as mass removal. And you can also use it in commander decks, I guess, because you need colorless wraths other than all its dust. But that's pretty much about it. I mean, after you see it on your first booster, do you really want to pick it? And what if you don't end up with enough colorless creatures? But I guess the set has like a decent amount of colorless creatures counting the devoid ones, so it could be good. We'll have to wait and see. So moving on to Kozilek's Channeler. 5 mana 4/4, tap to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. So this is pretty much what you need in limited when you want to make a big stompy deck, an Eldrazi deck. It's decent size, 5 mana 4/4, and you get 2 mana if you tap him. Granted, he's a 4/4 and you don't usually want to tap those, but you have to. It's pretty good though. It's obviously only designed for limited. And then on that, it's a decent creature. You might see him placed in some colorless commanders because you need every card you can get, but Solaring through Dynamo are still better, so yeah, there is that. Moving on to Oblivion Solar, a really peculiar card. I mean, it was the dual deck promo for the Eldrazi side. So it's a 6 mana, 5/8. When you cast him, you exile the top 4 cards of a player's library, and then you may put any number of land cards from the exile onto your battlefield. So any land cards, not just the ones exiled by this ability. So if you hit like 2 to 3 lands, the build is pretty strong. Otherwise it's more likely 6 mana 5/8, which is really strong. So it's obviously a limited powerhouse. Other than that, constructed, if an Eldrazi deck is good enough, this will see play. If not, this won't see play. Still, it's a giant monster. I mean, 5/8 or 6, it's insanely good. But the ability is kind of okay. I guess it's unique, so there is that. But the most unique card of the set is like the final card of the cordless ones. So really great card. We'll have to see for constructed though. Moving on to Ruin Processor. So we have 7 mana 7/8. When you cast him, you may process 1 card. If you do, you gain 5 life. I guess it's like one of the most irrelevant ones, because gaining life is not that strong. I mean, 5 life, it's a lot of life, and you get a 7/8 with it, so I guess it's fine. And it's obviously a design for limited and limited only. You're not going to see this card anywhere else. So even if Eldrazi is formed, it's just kind of boring actually. So moving on, we have Scour from Existence, 7 mana, exile target permanent. Wow. Again, common cards are insane in the set. So this card, it's very strong because it's unconditional removal. 7 mana is strong mana, but as I said in the previous spoiler video, I don't think Tron needs this much hard removal when you have Wiggin and Karn to work with. So yeah, great limited card. I mean, the effect is strong, but you have to pay a hefty price for it. 7 mana is no easy feat. But still, removal is removal, limited. And that's pretty much a limited card, nothing else. Constructed, there is no way that 7 mana removal could be viable. Yeah. You have to get really desperate, and we still have like Utter End and Ruinous, the new one, the worst downfall one. So moving on, we have Titan's Presence, 3 mana, an additional cost to cast. You may reveal a chorus creature from your hand, and you exile the creature if power is less than or equal to the reveal creature's power. So it's a really strong card. I mean, this has a bigger chance of seeing Tron play, if anything, because it's 3 mana, so you can pull it off 1 tower. And I guess in limited this is again premium removal, because there is a huge number of colorless and devoid creatures. So there is that. And exile is strong because again triggers your processors when you're about to cast them, and that's about it. I mean, standard, if there is an Eldrazi deck, this will be its premium removal. Other than that, it might seem some Tron play if you really need to run a removal, but I guess if you run a green Tron, you already have Beast Within, which is better than this because you can hit any permanent. But still a great removal for limited. And we're moving on to the Overlord himself, Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. 10 mana, 10/10 legendary creature Eldrazi. When you cast him, you exile 2 permanents. He's indestructible, and whenever he attacks defending player, exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. So probably the biggest bomb in limited, if you can cast him consistently. Yeah. So let's get this again. So when you cast him, you get to exile 2 permanents. They get this. Your opponent has a way to counter his ability like Stifle, but I don't. So exile 2 permanents even if he gets counter. He's indestructible, so so destroy removal doesn't remove him. He needs to be exiled. So at the end, or scar from existence, as we saw before. And if you get to attack with this guy, you wreck your opponent. So if you get this card unlimited and you just get to attack once, you win the game. Pretty much. He's insanely strong. I think this card has a very big potential. I mean, first of all, if there is a ramp deck in standard that will support him, he is in. And we already have Cynthia written, so you can call this card. In modern, this card could take a place in Tron decks because he is double removal when he enters the battlefield, when you cast him, and he has a strong ability. He still is removed from Path to Exile, but everything is removed from Path to Exile except Emrakul. Also, thank God Whip is out of standard, because this card with Whip would be insane. And also this is gonna break many friendships in Commander. He's just too strong. Far better than the original Roman in my opinion. Insane card, just very good. Probably one of the best from the set. That being said, let's move to his despoiler. So 6 mana 5/5. When he enters the battlefield, you may process 2 cards. And if you do, he enters with 4+1/+1 counters. Wow. So it's a 6 mana 9/9 best case scenario, 6 mana 5/5 worst case scenario. So he's still pretty strong. And 9/9 for 6 mana, considering this is a slower format, is actually insane. So yeah, this guy is definitely good in limited. It's an unlimited card. That being said, his ability is really strong. I mean, 9/9 for 6 mana. You can't get anything better than that. So yeah, pretty good card actually. Very strong ping limited. We're gonna have a tough choice between this colorless goodies and limited. And let's go to the most interesting card from this set in my opinion. We have Void Winnower. 9 mana 11/9. Your opponents can cast spells with even converted mana cost. Your opponents can block creatures with even converted mana cost. This is the I can't even joke, or this card is very odd. But let's get over that. So 9 mana 11/9. So his stats are insane. So obviously limited bomb because it's a big creature with good stats, and the ability might turn out to be relevant. So let's look at both the abilities. So your opponent can cast spells with even converted mana cost. So 0, 2, 4, 6, and you get the idea. So in order to assess if this card is good or not, we will have to look the formats it could go in, what key cards remove it from the battlefield, and what it screws around. So let's go modern Tron decks. This card actually sits over Split the Twin because they don't have counter spells, mana leaks and stuff. They don't have the Split the Twin combo. The only thing they have are bolts and the combo pieces like Pestermite and Deceiver Exarch. That big said is 9 mana and you need at least, best case scenario, 4 turns to cast it and your opponent to be tapped out. So let's make that 5 turns so you can be sure. He seems pretty strong. He is removed from Path to Exile though, which is one of the most common removals in Modern, and Beast Within. That might actually make it not worth it. For Legacy and Vintage Reanimator decks make one this, but again he dies to Sword of Plowshares. We have to say this card is one of the most interesting ones. They are played in a very long time actually, because you don't see this effect very often. It's very rare. I think there are only 3 cards with this effect in the game, so that matter about even road mana cost. The second ability about the creatures that can block is actually also interesting, because not even cost means tokens. so he cannot be unblocked by dry scions. But really, you need to know. Also, can be blocked by Rhino, which is probably one of the best creatures in standard right now. So we have to wait and see this card also, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think it might be in sideboards against setter matchups that run even mana cost cards mostly. Yeah, I think this will with this end up. I don't see it seeing main board play because most decks are usually on curve, so they have both ways to move around this card. I can't wait for the next one. That will be the opposite. 9 mana, 11/9. Your opponent can cast spell with odd mana cost. So that's pretty much about the colorless cards from the block, or the set actually. So tell me what you think in the comments below, subscribe if you want, and see you for the white cards.